All right, something that really pisses me off. When you go to the doctor and you get all your blood tests done and they all come back positive and everything is fine, but you don't feel great, so you know it's not fine. And this is the most difficult part dealing with modern medicine, because it's all focused on what the doctor's allowed to do from the medical board. And that doesn't mean that they get to put all of the tests that are absolutely important to where you're at. They can't do that, because that threatens their medical license and they may have it revoked, which pushes you to explore other options. Now, I have experienced this firsthand with going through chronic fatigue, where obviously there's something wrong with me because I can't get out of bed and do anything, but all my positive tests are, oh yeah, everything seems normal, I don't know what it is, we can do some more tests, and nothing comes up. And I know a lot of people have this same experience. Problem is, that's just the way that the system is designed. So let's break it down to a bit more detail. First of all, your tests, when you come back in the normal range, the normal range could be the high end of the normal range, or it could be the low end of the normal range. So that's one thing to be concerned about. Being at the low end of the normal range or just inside the normal range is probably not a great place to be. So that is something to be concerned about, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, I am not a GP, I'm just somebody who's gone through all of this and seen it firsthand. But one thing I do know is, in a lot of instances over the last 20 years while I've been in the health and fitness industry, there has been standards that have been dropped over different age groups for example, testosterone. The men's testosterone markers used to be much higher, the normal levels used to be much higher, but they've dropped them down considerably over the last few years. And the question you got to ask is why? Are they dropping the markers because that's just what the new normal is? And if that's the new normal, how can I get back to the old normal? What are we doing so wrong in our society, in our food, or in our environment, in our lifestyle, that leaves us in this place where testosterone is dropping so much that they have to reset what the normal range means? Now, obviously, if they've done that, then the optimal could well be outside what the normal range is now. And that doesn't mean it's impossible to get there. It just means it's a whole lot more difficult than it used to be. But remember, you can't necessarily just rely on your doctor's tests to be able to tell you exactly what's up. So be very cautious about the normal range and trying to find out where the optimal range of something is, so you could actually get there, because that's what's going to lead to optimal health. Oh yeah, so I talked about the ranges changing, like the new normal's changing. One of the things that is based on is the average person. The average person is unhealthy to start with. So your normal range is the normal range for an average unhealthy person. Do you want to be there? I do not. I think that is absolute bollocks. So anyway, this is one of the things we're dealing with in society when you go and talk to your doctor, because they are just told what they're allowed to pass on to you, and that is what it is. There are many tests that your doctor cannot do. They are not allowed to do, or if they do these tests, you have to pay out of pocket for them. Again, this is something that I have experienced, and it's something that I have spoken to several GPs about, because if they are putting some of these tests out or getting you to do some of these tests, it can put them at risk of losing their medical license, just to be seen to be exploring things outside of their area of this is what I'm supposed to do. can be tricky. So I am of the opinion that if need be, go and see a holistic doctor who can do these tests, or if they can't do them, go and find a naturopath or some other holistic type practitioner who can go and get some of these tests for you. What do these tests look like? Sometimes it's a poop test where they'll go in and see what your microbiome is doing. Then that can have a look and see the presence of fungus, parasites, bacteria. It can have a look at the different probiotics that are in your system, what is in good balance, what is in bad balance. It can tell you all of those different things that are going on in there, and then that gives us insight into what you need to go and fix, what you need to do about it. Important. There is something called a hair tissue mineral analysis test, where you can have your hair sample sent off and analysed in a lab, and they can give you a breakdown of the levels of, let's say, toxins, toxic buildup, heavy metals that are in your system. I have done this multiple times over the last, say, 15 years. At one stage there was a high level of arsenic in my system. At other times there has been other different toxins or heavy metals that are built up that are well outside the range of what is normal and certainly what is healthy. So that is something to be very aware of. It's not even an expensive test, but it does give you a lot of insight into it. I did another heavy metal test recently. It may have been a year ago now, and it used a different method of testing for heavy metals. I'm not sure if I think that's the best way or not, but there are multiple tests that you can have done to be able to give you an insight into some extra different areas that are going on. Another one that's getting popular over the last probably 5 years especially, is getting your DNA checked, and then have a looking at the sequencing, seeing what's in there, seeing what is working well, what is not working well. Once you have this information, you can then supplement or change your diet to allow for what it really needs, to fill the gaps and to potentially repair any of the DNA. And yes, DNA can be repaired. That is a thing, that is possible. There are even supplements that you can use to help reverse DNA damage. So these tests you will pay for out of pocket. And they're not always that expensive, but I think it's vital information, especially for those people who have some sort of health issue that the doctor just can't identify. So being aware of that is, I think, more vital than you could possibly imagine, because we are led to believe that our doctors know everything and we can rely on them to look after our health. Unfortunately, we live in a world where Western medicine treats the symptoms of what's going on now. If you go back to Eastern medicine and how they used to do it, they would always be working to keep the person healthy rather than to treat the sickness when it turned up. That is a very big difference in terms of how medicine is practiced. And I mean, Chinese medicine, I don't know how many years you're dating back, but it is a long time. 5,000 years, 10,000 years, I don't know, but there's a lot of experience in there. Where they got the knowledge from, also I don't know, but can't discount the fact that they seem to be right and they seem to be doing something a hell of a lot better than Western medicine. So the other good thing to know with any of these tests is, is it working or not? Is the treatment, is the practice of whatever you're doing, is it working? So getting tests one time only gives you a very small snapshot of the picture. You need to go and get your tests done after another 3 months or 6 months, just to see what has happened when you've implemented the changes. If you have changed your diet or added some supplements or medication or whatever it is, what's happened? what has been the effect of that? Are the numbers moving in the right direction? How do you feel? Do you feel like you're better if the numbers are moving in the right direction? What is your gut telling you about these things? Because putting that picture together gives you a really good idea. You need to be having a look at also what your experience is, not just your gut feeling, but what is your personal experience? How is your energy? How is your clarity of mind? What is your skin looking like? How does your muscular system feel? How is your sleep? If these things are improving, that's a good sign that everything is working. So you've got to have a total snapshot of everything going on to really understand what's working. So remember, you really have to take ownership of this, because the doctor's not going to give you anything and everything. They're going to give you what they can give you, and sometimes that is not as much as you would like, and sometimes you cannot even get the answers. So remember, you are in charge of your own health. You do not have to trust what one doctor says. You can go to multiple doctors if you need to. You can get multiple tests if you need to. There's nothing wrong with a second or a third opinion. And at the end of the day, you know how you feel compared to how you used to feel. So if your current normal is not the same as your old normal, and you can tell things are not working, then it's time for you to stand up and go and do something about it. Whether that is going and seeing multiple doctors, or going down the holistic path, seeing a holistic doctor, a naturopath, getting these extra tests done and really getting to the bottom of it. If you want some extra energy, or you just want to see where you're at without having to do any of the tests, I have a vitality audit you can grab. Click the link in the description, it'll take you right there, and 7 questions in a minute, and that'll give you a good idea of where you're at in terms of energy and stress, and how much action you need to take and how urgent you need to do. So there's a few tips in there to be able to get your energy up and your stress down a little bit. And if that's still too easy, I've got a 14-day energy upgrade you can take. It'll take 10 to 15 minutes out of your day, and after maybe 2 or 3 days, you will notice that you are feeling so much better that you will want to continue. After a week, you're better again. After 2 weeks, you are just looking for whatever the next thing is. So jump in there, and if you've got any questions, just hit me up. Talk soon.